Hi, this is Sarah with the website Doula, and I'm here to show you how to work with the Google Web Fonts interface. Now, this is an open source collection of fonts that are available for you to either download to your computer, so you can maybe use them in a Microsoft Word document or a Pages document, or to use them on your website. Great thing about them is that they're completely web friendly and they are free, so they will work on anyone's website and be visible by anyone viewing your site without them actually having to own the font themselves. So in order to access these, we're going to follow these steps. So we've gone to the Google Web Fonts directory, and you can find it simply by typing in Google Web Fonts into your browser. It'll come right up, and you'll see here that there's a number of fonts featured. And there's different filters, so you can select if you want to see the handwriting fonts or if you want to see just sans serif fonts, etc. So there's different ways that you can filter through these because there's a lot of them available and it can get really overwhelming. You'll see here there's 808 font families. So to help you make the selection, maybe think through first what are some of the font qualities that you appreciate. So sans serif fonts, you'll notice, have this kind of straight up and down feature. The ends of the letters don't have any kind of squigglies on them. Whereas serif fonts, let's see if I can find one here. I'll find one eventually. All right, just one moment. Okay, so here's a great example of a serif font. You'll see that there's the little lines at the end of each letter, and that's what defines a serif font. In terms of legibility, generally the sans serif are better for primary text, and then if you wanted to use a serif as well, you would use it as a contrasting text, maybe for a highlighted line or a header or a subheader. But for most text, in terms of legibility, sans serif tends to work better. There's also, of course, the handwriting versions, and these are a wide variety of handwriting style fonts. Some of these might be good. This might be good, for example, for a header or subheader, maybe for testimonial, depending on the flavor of your website. You want to be careful with legibility on these. Some of these are quite tricky to read, but some are quite lovely. All right, so let's figure out how to actually use these. So let's say I love Indie Flower. I could see what it looks like larger, smaller, and that can help me know what size I want to use it on my site. I can see what it looks like as a full paragraph, and maybe it gets to be a bit much as a paragraph, so what do the numbers look like? Not so legible. Custom. Now here's where we can actually type in the words that we want to use. So let's say it was for Cherish Childbirth Services. If you wanted to see what the actual words of your business name look like, or the sentence you're wanting to write with this particular font, you can actually test it out here. And again, we could play here. We can even play here. Some of them will offer you the option to play with the weight. The 400 is the weight that's available. With this one, some of them will let you actually even switch up the weight as well. I'm going to come back to the sentence here. Okay. Next, let's say we want to actually use this one. So we're going to go ahead and click here on plus. And you'll see down here that this black box appears that says one family selected. If you click on that one family selected, this information will emerge. So usually I just use this standard method of importing. Now, the way you're going to implement this on your website depends on what kind of website you have, whether you're on WordPress or Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or some other option. You're going to have to look at the documentation for your particular website type to know how to implement a Google Web Font, but generally it's pretty straightforward. So here is the text that, at least on a WordPress site, would go in the header script. And then in the CSS, when you're designating which font you're using, you would say, all right, I want the body text to be the following. Now, how to actually change your CSS and do those modifications is beyond what I can do in this tutorial. And if you're needing help implementing a Google font or any other custom font into your website, I'm happy to work with you on an hourly basis. I can even do just a 15-minute increment to help you quickly load a new feature into your site. So if this part feels paralyzing to you, don't stress. If you find a font that you love, let me know. You can hire me for just 15 minutes and I will put it together with you and make sure that you know how to change that again for yourself in the future. All right, so let's imagine instead that there's actually two different fonts that you want to implement on your site. So I've already selected that one, and let's say I also want to use Droid Serif. So I go again, click here on the plus, and you'll see now down here we have two families selected. And it's actually joined those two fonts together in the import script that we're going to put into kind of the back end of your website. And then you've got the CSS that you need for those individual fonts to implement for the different types of text that you want on your site. Now, let's say that you would actually prefer to use IndieFlower as well on a business card or poster that you are designing. You can actually click here on this downward button and click on download, and it will let you save the file into your system. So if you have a great love for any one of these fonts and want to be using it multiple times for different marketing materials, simply download it into your system and you'll have access to it indefinitely. Now, let's just take a look at one other special feature here. And we've got here perfect pairings. So here under featured, Google Fonts has offered you a few different unique resources. If we click here on perfect pairings, it's proposed some special fonts that it thinks you might be interested in and gives examples. The regular, it's the same font. It's just showing you what it looks like with the word regular, so you can compare between them. You can also take a look at the high impact fonts. Okay, so these are ones that you would use in a minimal way, but they could be fun on the right website. Headline worthy serifs is a really neat one. If you're looking for a good serif for text that you want to have pop, here's some nice suggestions. And then of course, multi-script typefaces. There's some really neat ones in here. I thought I liked this Rasa one. The Arima also looks really nice. Again, not things that you would use for all of your text, but for maybe highlighted sections of your text. Now, if you feel like you don't even know where to start with Google Web Fonts, an easy way to get some really inspired ideas is to actually go to Pinterest. And if you type in Google font combinations or Google font pairings or unique Google fonts, you'll find all sorts of different selections that people have put together for you. And you can see here that here's some neat pairings of fonts that you could try using. All of these are free and available for you to use. Nice ones here. So yeah, if you just feel like I don't even know where to begin, this is a great place to go to get advice from designers who've already poured through these fonts and kind of picked out some of the really neat ways that you can use them together. All right, once again, this is Sarah with the website Doula. I hope you have found this tutorial helpful. I look forward to working with you on your site, and I'm here to help you with even the smallest of tasks and to gain the confidence you need to implement these yourself down the road. Thank you. You can find me at the website doula.com.